Hello and welcome back to Sovereign RPG. I am Sovereign and it's been a while since I've done any content whatsoever since the birth of my son recently. On Friday, he was born at 7 minutes past 11. Those of you in my Discord will know all the information as that's where I pretty much post all of my news there first. It's been a pretty trying time. There's been a lot of stuff up and down. The doctors have been saying one thing and then another doctor's been saying another thing. It's been backwards and forwards, but I'll do a video on exactly what's been happening with regards to my actual personal life at another time. What I really want to get into and have wanted to get into is some of these answers from the Echoes Bowl Q&A that have been coming out over the past couple of days that I've missed because I have been in the hospital, so I haven't been able to do any work on it. I haven't been able to read much stuff. I've been jumping in as much as I can into my Discord, into the Echoes Discord. As you can probably know, it's been a bit of a rough time. So let's get straight into the Echoes Bowl Q&A part 1. Now, the first question is about getting some story in the universe, how the lore will unfold, how different events will happen, like in EVE Online, where they have different events like the Empress getting killed and the Ahmad's leadership changing over time, who runs the Kaldari, who's the leader of the Sanchez Nation. The Sanchez Nation don't exist, the blah blah blah. They're talking about this sort of thing, which everyone knows is my kind of thing. I do love story and driven content within a game, and they will gradually introduce more gameplay and story into Echoes in the future, but for now they're focusing on the basic game mechanics like Corps and Alliances and soft battles. Now we know that Corps and Alliances have been pretty much finished. The soft battles won't be there on launch, so that's something they're working on right now. They've reiterated what I said before, at least now they have said it openly, what the price of Omega subscription will be at the moment, so it's not finally decided, and they've asked to leave their feedback, which is in the hashtag Eve's Suggestions channel in the Eve Echoes Discord. Now they've said 2 Omega, roughly $5 for the first one and $15 for the second one, and they both include different training speed, and the first one obviously unlocks a lot of extra stuff in the game. They'll also go to say what the maximum member limit for a corp will be, including all corp management skills has been maxed out, and that is starting 50 and ending at 200. I don't see a lot of corps going for the 200 straight away if they don't have corp CEO alts, because it is a hell of a long time to get to the expert level at 200. It takes a long time. So moving on to part 2 of the Q&A. The first question is quite an interesting one, which I didn't know they wouldn't add. Like, this is personally something that I didn't know wouldn't be in there, and that's NPC standing systems. Now, if you never played EVE Online before, NPC standing systems had a lot of they did a lot of things for you depending on what you were doing. If you gain standing with a certain faction in a station that you wish to sell, for example, you will pay less taxes, so you will make more money when you sold items on that market. Also, doing missions over and over again with a certain faction and doing those missions, getting your reputation up, would give you better rewards with higher amounts of loyalty points and better items, better fights, bigger fights from 1 to 5, etc. And they're saying that there won't actually be an NPC standing in their recent plan. And they say because they don't have enough NPC related game content to support an NPC standing system. So they haven't got as built up a system for NPC standings as EVE Online. We know that EVE Online didn't have a lot of this stuff until years into its development, so we can't expect to have everything that's in EVE Online over 17 years to be in Echoes from the get-go, but they say they might work on it. Next question is, do grids work the same way as in EVE Online, or is there a different system in place? If you're talking about power grids, yes. No, I don't think they're talking about power grids in this one. I think they're talking about ships on grid, like when a ship appears on your grid. I can't remember the exact distance right this moment in time and what comes up on your overview within a certain distance. As I said, I can't remember what the exact distance is right now, but I believe that's what they were asking about, but we haven't been given an answer for that, so we don't know for sure. Now moving on to the Echoes Bowl Q&A part 3, which was a few days after the first 2 parts. They're coming out in separate parts. I guess they're just prolonging the information so it's not all at once and then have 3 weeks of absolutely no information. First thing they start to talk about is the loot fairy, and in the OBT they didn't loot all the stuff from ships, which is RNG, so like the game just calculates what will survive in the explosion and what won't. Sometimes you'll end up with nothing, sometimes you'll end up with really good loot. And they said it's around 50%, and the person who asked it says around 50%, but it's much lower than that. And they're asking if they're going to increase the percentage at the release, and they don't have a plan to change this, which is good, because you don't want all of a ship's items. It's just, it ruins the immersion for me. If a ship explodes and all of its parts survive, it's just wrong. It's a bit stupid for me, but that's just my personal opinion. They asked what the planned monetization method for Echoes was, and it said Omega clones, ship skins, and other skill training boosters. Now, I don't know what they mean by skill training boosters. We know there will be injectors, we know there will be extractors, but boosters is a different terminology in EVE Online. Boosters actually speed up things, drugs, etc. to do maybe, I don't know, it could just be a translation issue, and the skill training boosters are just injectors. We'll have to wait and see what that one is. I can only speculate on that one. They have asked if there is a plan to implement broadcasting esports tournaments similar to the Alliance tournaments, and I know that I will be doing this. I will be setting up events and tournaments esports style, up a King of the Hill maybe sort of system, or up a generalized tournament ladder where the winner will win a prize, either being money that I'm putting towards it myself, or in-game loot, or ship or items, etc., or in real life loot, for example. This is something that I am working with a few people on to actually grow and make. This won't come into the game until a few months in, 6 months maybe, so people can get settled and learn the game properly. But then the tournaments will start, run by myself and a few others in the community, so look forward to that one. The devs won't have something like this, at least for the time being, until the game is set, ready, all the bugs have started to be squashed out, etc. So that won't be something that they'll be looking at for a long time. So I'm going to be looking to fill that void. Next question is, what do you want to tell people with your creation? We want to have more people to try and join the EVE experience. EVE Echoes are easier to access. Hopefully by doing so, we could have more people enjoy EVE on a different platform. I'm not sure. I mean, I understand why, and there's probably a contractual obligation to always mention EVE Online whilst using CCP's IP, but it just feels forced to me. Every time they say it, it feels forced, because you're not going to go from Echoes, which is a simpler, easier to use, more accessible, can use anywhere type of game, to a game that can only be used on PC, that you have to work like a job, and many other things which make it very difficult to get into. But it can be done. I mean, I've done a series on it. It can just be, you can walk in and do it straight away. I've done it multiple times. But I just feel this is more of a contractual thing, and it's starting to feel a little bit forced. So we go on to the Q&A part 4, and 1 month Omega will be $8 US. And they've again reiterated to Omega, roughly $5 to $15 US with different trading speeds, not finally decided. Please leave your feedback. Now they've answered this. I'm sure this was a question that was asked multiple times by multiple people who won the EVE Echoes quiz contest. I didn't actually put a question in there because I completely forgot about it. And I was sent a DM a few times to get the question to them, but I literally just forgot that it existed. I had too much other stuff working on at the moment. Now, my personal opinion about why they keep saying how much it's going to be, so it's not a shock when the launch comes out, because people aren't watching social media, people aren't watching videos, people aren't in the Discord, they're not on Facebook, they're not in Twitter, they don't understand. They'll just open the game and say, oh my god, $5 and $15. We still have people now asking how to get into the open beta. It's been 5 fucking months since open beta closed. 5 months, and people are still asking now. They are trying to get this into people's heads, that this will be the price, and they're going to try and get it in as many people's heads as possible, so when launch comes out, it doesn't shock 95% of the population who doesn't read anything. That's the only reason I feel I feel they have to do this. They have to do this because we all know that gaming communities just don't listen to shit fuck all if they don't want to. Like, they just don't. Now the next one for me is massive. Is massive, and they said this will not be in the game, and it was such a gripe for a lot of the industrial corps because it made group mining it made mining ops almost pointless except for boosters, and it will still waste a lot of time as your corpse doing a mining op, we're going backwards and forwards, having to drop off your shit. But now it's a little different. They said, how do you plan to fix group mining operations since there are no jet cans? The Orca was near useless as presented in the beta. I don't know how they know that the Orca was near useless as presented in the beta, because the Orca in the beta was actually a hauling ship and not a mining. It had stats towards the more hauling side of things, hauling ore and other stuff from one place to another. This question sort of comes from an EVE Online player's perspective, but now they've said that jet canning is coming, so that's It's massive, it's a good thing. It allows better for pirating, so you can tell someone, look mate, if you don't drop your cargo, we're gonna blow you up, and then they drop their cargo. It adds more interaction, it adds more content. It's not just miners that will be affected by jet canning. There'll be players across the board that will be affected by jet canning. Players who want to play by themselves with 3 accounts and they've got 2 miners and a hauler, and they can just jet can out, pick up with a hauler and fuck off back to their thing while they're still mining. It helps. They've also said they're going to introduce an MTU in the future, with a mobile tractor unit, which just basically grabs it usually grabs all the wrecks. That's what you use it for when you're... Me personally, I always use an MTU in wormholes to pick up all the wrecks, to make sure all of the blue loot was in one spot. So I just run over, kill everything gets dragged into one box, loot it all, leave the wrecks, because I never ever salvaged anything, and pick up the MTU and piss off to the next site. Like that, it makes everything so much quicker, so much easier. It is a beautiful thing, and they need to add it. Now again, they keep saying this. How many star systems are available at launch? Around 7,000. There can't be. There is 5,000. If this is a carbon copy of known space, there's 5,201 systems. There cannot be 7,000 unless they added 1,799 systems. Or wormholes are available at launch. But then wormholes, there's 2,500 wormhole systems on the dot. So they've said the world is going to be exactly the same. So I don't understand where this 7,000 is coming from. If it's a Google search for how many systems, but even then, 7,000 is not even close to what it is, because there's much more than that, because you got to count dead space pockets. You got to count all this kind of shit that's like, there's loads of different parts of space included in the system's makeup. Known space, W space, so known space, wormhole space, you've got dead space, you've got all these other things that need to be calculated into the thing. So 7,000 in Echoes, for me, is just wrong. Unless they lied about wormholes not being there. Or they've added an entire new part of space, which would be kind of weird, because they were still working on the basic mechanics. So why added a shitload more systems? They're still working on mechanics. I don't understand. Unless they're making HiSec bigger, because as we know, 60% of the systems of known space in EVE Online is nullsec, and only 15% of players play in nullsec. That's why nullsec seems so dead all the time, because it's just empty. So unless they've added more HiSec systems, who knows? It just seems wrong to me, and I'm not sure. I've asked and I've not got an answer for why the 7,000, so maybe. Will they add voice in Spanish to the characters in the future? We only have English voice actors right now. Sorry about that, but I would not deny the possibility to have localized voice in the future. Now, English voice actors, is that just for the tutorial system, or is the actual NPCs going to have voice acting, which would be quite nice, because that's something that EVE Online really didn't have. It's just a block of text that comes up when you want to pick up a mission. I'd find that quite interesting. Now, that's all we have for this video today. That's all the information we've been giving up on the Echoes Bowl Q&A. Now, I'll have more content coming out much quicker now that everything's started to settle. Our son's now being able to be with us, and we should be taking him home within the next couple of days. So that is another big bonus for us. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and sub for everything EVE Echoes. And if you're interested, every Saturday at 8 PM UTC, we do a podcast on EVE Echoes for any information. And this week will be industry. We'll have special guests from the industry community. For example, Eisenhorn from Trimark Heavy Industries, who is an absolute wizard with numbers and spreadsheets. It is actually mind-boggling what he does. I still don't understand what he does, but he does it. So hopefully I get to see you guys there. Make sure to follow the Twitch in the description. Fly safe and avoid local chat scams.